this is what you got to do. You've got to create opportunities, but whether you drive in the day to work for us or you work out of your house, we made it a point that young people have a place in the city.
Yeah, Mayor Duggan, many state government employees are still working remotely a majority of the time. As governor, would you order them back to the office?
You know, I'd have to evaluate it when we get there, but I do believe people work better when they're on site and they collaborate. And as I say, the 9,000 city employees are all at work. We've been at work since 2021 with no issues. But there are times you have talent, IT talent, for example, that can do their job just as well from home. Some creative talent. There can be some exceptions. But I haven't looked at the state employees closely enough to know department by department. I got to believe, I haven't asked Andy Shoy this, but I got to believe the mayor of Lansing would probably be happy if they got back in the office.
The public and private sectors right now in Michigan are dealing with a lot of economic uncertainty, as I'm sure you've seen with the events over the past couple of weeks.
Right.
Do you feel that state leaders right now, are they taking a tack that you would as well as governor? What would you do different?
You know, I think Governor Whitmer's tone has been right, and she raised appropriately the effects on the auto industry. In Detroit, we have 3 assembly plants, 2 Jeep plants and a General Motors electric plant. And a number of the parts makers for those plants are across the river in Windsor. And so if you put tariffs on products coming from Windsor, you're going to drive up the costs of the American cars in a hurry. So I was glad to see the president backed off of that. I thought the governor appropriately raised the issue. I think the president so far has listened to the way it's been raised. And so we're trying to handle it in a calm and thoughtful way. And so far, at least, Detroit hasn't been affected.
Mr. Mayor, if you had been governor at the time, would you have closed all of the public schools during the pandemic?
You know, we can all make retroactive judgments, but I don't think there's any question that the schools closings put the kids well behind, and we're having problems, not just with achievement. You've got problems across the state right now with attendance. People are not talking about the truancy issue. But to me, it's one of the biggest problems of the state. People got used to not going, and you told them they had to go back, and they're not showing up. And so I don't care how good a teacher you are. If the kid's not in the classroom, that child's not learning. So I'm not so much focused about what exactly should have been done before, but I think we need to recognize that our schools were hurt during the shutdown, and we have to double down on catching up.
Well, if the schools were going to be hurt, why would you leave them open?
Again, I'm not going to go back and second guess a decision made 3 years ago. I'm running to be the governor going forward. And I don't think we are doing enough in this state on the recovery side. On 1, truancy, on 2, tutors for reading scores that have fallen behind, and 3, just the kind of support to catch up. I think we need to recognize how much our students were affected.
Mayor Duggan, what is your reaction to Chris Swanson likely entering the governor's race?
Chris Swanson's a good friend of mine. If you guys haven't met him, he's a serious candidate. He's not a slouch. He's going to make this race a lot more interesting than you think.
Would you rather run against him in November?
So you guys really don't understand me very well, but I couldn't care less. I mean, I don't run against anybody. When I ran for mayor, I didn't run against anybody. I don't run negative ads on the other people. I'm going to talk to people from now through November 26 on how we pull together, deal with the declining school performance, dealing with the young people leaving the state. And whoever the Democratic or Republican nominees are, I'll debate them when the time comes. But my campaign isn't going to be telling you why the Republicans and Democrats are awful. My campaign is going to be why Michigan will be better if we pull together.
I will take a couple more questions.
What did you make of you referenced the poll that the chamber did on voters' openness to an independent candidate? There's also some suggestions that people say that, but in the end, tend to kind of go back to their parties. I mean, how do you overcome that?
Yeah. So I wish I could take you back in time to me with 2013, when I declared for mayor in an 83% black city. And I said, I'm sitting with folks in their living room, and I'm telling you, the African-American community is going to embrace the best kid. And everybody told me, I don't care what the polls say, it's not really going to happen. And it's the same thing here. People haven't seen an independent before, and so they're skeptical. But I would say, any one of you, you don't need a poll. This weekend, you're out with your friends, ask them, How many of you think the two-party system in this state is too toxic and you're willing to consider an independent? Ask them yourself, and I'd be extremely surprised if 2/3 of your friends don't tell you what 2/3 of the people in every room I'm in say. We've been looking for a change.
Mr. Mayor, there hasn't been an independent governor in 2018. Does that kind of deter you at all? Does that give you a spark of excitement?
There hadn't been a white candidate for mayor in 50 years in Detroit. If I listened to people tell me what couldn't be done, I wouldn't have run. You have had 5 states in this country that have elected an independent governor since 1990. You had it in Rhode Island. People remember Jesse Ventura. You had it in Alaska. And you've had it in a couple of other states. And in each case, what happened was either the Republican Party moved so far right or the Democratic Party moved so far left that somebody stood up and said, this is wrong, and ran as an independent.
Which one do you see happen here?
I've never seen the anger toward the two parties at the level it is right now. Yeah.
Which one do you think happened here? You said
In this
it's either
case,
Republican
in this
or-
case, you have a different twist. And it's again, you look at the Gallup numbers, which have been out there forever. Every year Gallup does a poll that says to all Americans, you consider yourself a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. Last year, Republican, 27% declining. Democrat, 27% declining. Independent, 43% and growing. And what's happened is, the Republicans and Democrats understand this. When you're starting at a base of 27, the fastest way to get to 51% is demonize the other guy. I just ask any one of you to think back to the last election. The TV ads over and over. Trump's a fascist. She's for they, them, not for you. Rogers going after a slot cannon, all the negative attacks. The two parties get elected now by demonizing their opponents, not by telling you what they're going to do. And so I'm going to run a campaign where I'm not going to demonize anybody. I'm going to tell the people of Michigan what I plan to do, and the people will make a choice whether they want to change or whether they're happy with the way things are going.
So we got one more question, guys.
Are you supportive of the petition to grant ranked choice voting on that one?
I'm sorry.
Are you supportive of the petition to grant ranked choice voting?
Yeah, so in 1980, as a senior in political science at Michigan, I wrote my senior thesis on why presidential primaries should be conducted by ranked choice voting. So apparently I was ahead of my time. So I do believe in ranked choice voting. It won't have any effect on my election because the earliest it could take effect would be 2028, but I do think it's the right thing for the country.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.